So bring the warm spirit and let's welcome our brother, Abdul Hakim. Welcome, brother.
And warm welcome to you and to everybody who has joined us this wonderful Thursday evening. It's 7 p.m. here in the UK, 11 p.m. I believe in the UAE, and 8 p.m. in Paris. And in the US, in the various parts, we're at early afternoon. So warm welcome to our global community who are joining us from different parts of the world. And a special thank you to all of those who are in the UK who distributed tickets and ensured that the invitation for this evening was spread far and wide. So warm welcome, Brother Marcus, to our platform.
Thank you so much.
We want to discuss with you very serious issues.
Oh, absolutely. They are very serious.
Very serious issues. So we wanna also enjoy your celebration of your wedding anniversary and the mere fact that you are coming on to the show, you know, not as someone who just got married last week and want to tell everybody how this thing goes, or someone who's been married and divorced 7 times. And I got it right. So here's the guidance. You're a good man in this particular equation or in this particular field. So spiritual injection, those of you in our audience and regulars, please take your device off mute and receive our special guest, Brother Marcus, and his lovely wife, Sister Cecilia.
Welcome, Brother Marcus.
Representing for this.
Welcome, Brother Marcus and Sister Cecilia. Wonderful to have you on the
platform. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. In the name of Allah, beneficent and merciful, I too bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet all of you all in peace. Assalamu alaikum to you again.
Allah, peace be unto you too.
So, what do you need me to do, Brother Akeem?
I need you in one sentence to let our audience know the keys. Well, then we can all go home.
Well, I can tell you the key. The key is very simple. We have to learn to listen to each other and to communicate better with each other as we strive to have a more ideal marriage with each other. It does not come by accident. It does not come by magic. It comes when we learn to listen, stop talking and listen to what your partner is saying. And then your partner is quiet and listens to how you respond to what they've just said to you. I think a lot of times in marriage, we are so busy fighting each other, we don't really learn to listen to each other. Each person that you're dealing with is someone special, especially if this is a husband, this is a wife, this is who you chose to marry. So you might as well listen to them because they may be saying something valuable that can save your life.
Right. So it's interesting what you just said, right, in regards to this is the person. Here she is, Sister Cecilia.
Hey,
welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
So I was just going to pick up with your husband, Sister Cecilia. It's interesting that you mentioned at the front end of this discussion that this is the person that you chose. So you may as well give them a chance to express themselves, you know, because you chose them. So you can't choose someone and then stifle them out and not even give them an opportunity to express themselves. However, supposing they were chosen under some kind of duress, right?
Wow.
Many people get married to cover, you know, pregnancy, to cover whatever, or for some kind of favor. They see this as a family who may be wealthy or a family that has opportunity. So they want to get into a particular family. So they're not necessarily motivated by decency. or by,
Yes.
you know, true love. You know, so in those kind of circumstances, when people come together under those pretexts, is this the reason why there is like a lot of, you know, arguments and bickering and unwillingness to subordinate one's views for the greater good?
That's some you to say it.
Absolutely, that will cause a lot of stress in the marriage, because like we say, we know that marriage is a struggle. We know that marriage is work. Trials and tribulations will naturally come and be a part of your relationship. But when you have other things coming, like, okay, we got married because we were pregnant, or we got married because we had sex, and I feel obligated now to marry you, when, like the minister said, and we just heard our brothers reiterate just last night, for those of us who know where we were last night, about being intoxicated. And the minister has said, when you have had sex in a relationship, you are you are intoxicated, and you are not making the right decisions in that state. So absolutely, sir, you will have additional problems, because your own self-accusing spirit, the guilt, will have a big part to play in that relationship.
Tell me this, because I hear a lot about, you know, marriage is, you know, full of struggle. You got to overcome the struggle, and you got to overcome the struggle, and you got to overcome the struggle. Okay. So I hear more about overcoming the struggle than happy, happy, happy day, happy, happy, happy day. So how do we, you know, mitigate having to enter into something where we've got to put on our bulletproof costume, because there's going to be a lot of struggles, just like that film, you know, what they call them, was it the Smiths?
Oh yeah.
Where they married as a cover. They were meant to be a cover for each other's true identity. And then when they both found out that they were both agents, they couldn't stop wanting to kill each other, right?
Yes,
so,
sir.
So even though that's Hollywood, how do we then, well, let me rephrase my question, because I hear more talk about struggle in marriage than happy times, than, and sister just helped me because she's in the audience or in the waiting room. Her name is Bliss. So blissful times, okay? We hear more about struggle. Is it then fair to say that marriage is not necessarily designed for happiness? It's designed more for responsibility?
I would say both. And I say both because when we understand that marriage is a sacred union, and we are taught that marriage is half of our faith, then when you think about your faith and your relationship with Almighty God, just you and God, we struggle to obey and do God's will. Our self-accusing spirit, the devil of self, all of that going on internally without a husband, without a wife. So now just imagine the two of us coming together with our personal struggles. And then we have because again, our Quran says to us, the man is not like the woman and the woman is not like the man. And because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has told us, and I always say, when you listen to his words, when he talks about male-female relationships, he always uses the term, the nature in which you were created. So when he's going to the root of our creation, so therefore we're different, but at the same time, we can come together to make that perfect union with us and Allah. And what it is, Brother Minister, is that we need advanced relationship skills, because we all have traumas, we all have lived life,
Yes.
and all of me come with me when we get married. So
Right.
therefore, the struggle is very real, because like I said, if we're struggling by ourselves, you just imagine bringing the opposite sex who thinks differently, we communicate differently, everything is different, and now you're bringing those two together, and we have to bear witness, because July 4th, by God's grace, we just celebrated 31 years of marriage with 6 children ranging in age from 30 to 19, 4 boys and 2 girls. So
Right.
is it struggle? Yes, but it's a happy struggle.
That's
because
right.
if your ultimate goal is to have a sacred union, the joy of, yes, trials come, tribulations come, but we're working it out together.
And keeping God first is the answer that a lot of us need to hear. You can't do a relationship without God in it.
That's right.
And a lot of us are trying to keep God out of it. We don't put God, we don't even put him on the back burner no more. He's completely out of the relationship until trouble comes. And I've heard Minister Farrakhan say that Allah is not happy to make it easy for you. You are going to have to know struggle in order to be more perfect in your praise of God. You're going to have to praise God through struggle. And that's what me and Cecilia, that's the secret to our success. We include God in our marriage. This is a praying marriage, because you can't make it without prayer, especially in today's time. You have to maintain a good relationship. I'm connected to God, and I offer God to your audience, because that's who can help you to get through what you're going through. Minister Farrakhan, God willing, in September of 2023 is going to be married to our dear mother, Khadija Muhammad, for 70 years. 70. So our little 30 is great, but 70 years is a lot longer than 30 years.
Yeah, it's a lot longer than I've been on the planet. Yeah, it really is. So that's phenomenal. So tell me, let's want to backtrack a little bit, because
yes, sir,
we have on the audience Christians, we have Buddhists, we have yogis, we have everybody from all kind of different perspectives, right?
Yes, sir.
And if we're looking at, say, then marriage, all right, or relationships, because we did invite our family to discuss how relationships can be, or how to attract someone to you, you know. So I wanted to look at things from the perspective of going back to what we were saying, the goal of marriage, okay? Like the ideal goal of marriage. What I find with many people is they compromise a lot of their personal goals and a lot of who they are in order for the marriage to work. Okay? It's like if somebody is highly educated and they're attracted to somebody who is not so educated, then there may be some kind of compromise there in order to tolerate some of the ignorance of somebody who's not basically educated, right? That's a compromise, and it's a big one too, okay? Because there are going to be times where the educated person understands things very quickly, and they've got to almost spoon feed things to somebody who's not educated, but they were attracted to different skills that that person may have, right? So again, is it a good idea in the name of marriage or for the sake of marriage to compromise a lot of yourself in the name of trying to make this marriage work? Is there a threshold to which you can really go you know, if you're already on the trajectory of trying to be a complete person, but you now are bringing somebody into your life, how much compromise would you advise for someone to make in order for the relationship to be even a fractional successful, possibly?
I always like to say, especially when we do our single social weekends, is that have a list of what you are looking for. And out of that list, try to meet at least 70 to 80% of your list. Because again, especially for our men who are normally and should be the head of the household, then you have as the scriptures say, you have the vision, you have the ideals, you have the goals in your head that you want your family to get behind you and push. So therefore, you're looking for a woman who fits your puzzle. You don't want to have
I'm going to
take
stop you, Sister Cecilia, because is that the ideal scenario? Because all men are not visionaries.
That's why we do the singles events. That's why we do the married events, to help them to understand that with all that we hear, all that we see, your very essence is of a divine nature. But we don't live in a society that pushes that is that. Yes, most places say we're a Christian society, we're a Muslim society, we're this society, but if you look at our behavior, we're totally opposite that. So that's why we have in our workshops, my husband and I wrote the book, I would say more so him for the men though, Male Leadership, how to lead your wife and children in these troubled times, because women, I don't care what race, what ethnicity, they know by their nature, you are to be a leader. You are to be the head of that household and lead spiritually, morally, economically, physically. All of these things is what she's looking for from us. But if you don't know your nature in which you were created, a lion can't be a lioness. He has to be the lion. You have to roar. And when you roar, but your roar is that is balance, that you know how to be. I love the book by Helen Anderlin. There's a book called Fascinating Womanhood. I tell all women, after your Bible, your Quran, your spiritual studies, get that book, Fascinating Womanhood. But her husband wrote a book on men of steel and velvet, which means be that strong one, but at the same time, you can show compassion, you can show love, you can show the softer side of you as you learn your husband and wife. But yeah, that is not a reality. And that's why we have to teach it to our male sons, teach it to them. And we have 4 of them by God's grace. And that's what we've always taught them, that you have to prepare mentally, intellectually to lead your family, because they're looking for you to be that leader. And the wife is like, man, I want to cheer you on. I want to be right there at your side. I cheer you on. We make the accomplishments. You cheer me on. It's all about balancing it and making sure there's freedom, justice, and equality in our homes. And in order for that to happen, the leader of that home has to have a divine relationship to know how to do it with justice and equity.
But you know, sometimes, sorry, brother Marcus, Sister Cecilia, you know, sometimes, you know, you have, and the way how you reference the position that you just took, it could be considered that a male then is like a captain, right? And the woman is like a lieutenant. Okay, so if that is the setup, many women today, you know, their vibe is, you know, I ain't satisfied being no lieutenant when I know everything that the captain knows. Do you understand what I mean? And the captain,
it can be captain and captain.
So
it can be captain and captain.
So remember this, like a good lieutenant, in the absence of a captain, he can lock things down, she can lock things down, and in some cases, they can lock it down much more successfully. And then the lieutenant say, well, when you were away, Cap, you know, I had things jumping a little more than when it's jumping when you here, dude. You know what I'm saying? So likewise, if the man is at the home and meant to be running the home and, you know, the affairs are declining, and then the woman is a master organizer, at what point, you know, does she say, well, you know, you might need to stand down in some of these areas and let me just, you know, handle some of these areas? Isn't that what's happening in the world? Isn't that why we're losing our ability to have strong families because we're being shown up to be inadequate in areas that we are born to dominate?
I don't know if you've ever taken a class in high school in marriage, or class in college in how to successfully be married.
You mean in the barbershop?
Or we get in the barbershop, we get in the beauty salon. We don't have anything else that we can go to. Now, there are, and I want to encourage your audience to read books, because I know that there is much wisdom, much information that we can learn from books. Now, one of the things that we have met a lot of, we do a lot of counseling. We have to learn how to overcome gridlock in a marriage.
Right.
A lot of our marriages are gridlock with problems, lots of problems. And we have to learn to solve our solvable problems. There are things about marriage that you could be arguing over and over and over again, but you have to ask yourself at some point, is this a solvable problem that we are attempting to get through right now? And one of the things that I've learned, and we've counseled people on, is we have to learn to solve our typical solvable problems. And one of the things that it would be great to do is we got to unplug from distractions. We got to learn how to deal with pornography if that's in our relationship at all. We have to deal with it. It's something that's very insidious. It's something that we don't want to deal with, but it may be present. And I encourage you all to try to get through that as well. Certainly money is a great problem in relationships today in 2023. We, Brother Minister Hakeem, we have a marriage retreat that we do every year. The marriage retreat is a wonderful opportunity for couples to come and deal with the problems of relationships, not just the problems, because we have a lot of success there as well. We want to encourage all of us to interact. It's when successful couples interact with couples who are not so successful that the unsuccessful couples can become successful. That is how we do it. We don't switch. We don't just put successful couples in the room with other successful couples. We put successful couples in the room with people who are not that successful, and we are able to get a good mix of energy in the room to help us to solve the problems that we all seem to be going through.
Make a great point, and I'm trying to not go too far because our time is limited. And I know if I start asking certain questions, it's going to take us way beyond our time. But you mentioned two things. You mentioned an overindulgence in sex, and you also mentioned money. Okay, now it's statistically globally, you know, the main reason for the breakdown in most marriages are those two reasons: sex and money. Okay, so if sex and money is the reason why the vast majority of relationships break down, then those are the two reasons generally would seem that the two were attracted to each other. Because what breaks you up has to be in your genesis, okay? So it is clear that men generally as you said, the head of the house, breadwinner, okay? If we are to be that, then many men are driven by wanting to attract a female for sexual reasons, sexual purposes in the world, right? Because obviously in the world of Bible, Quran, and spirituality, that's the ideal. But we are so far removed from the ideal that people where they are focused on sex and money, and then because they're not getting enough sex and not having enough money, then it breaks up. Because in the beginning, there may have been some sex and some money.
We talked about compromise at the beginning of this broadcast. We talked about compromise, you know, and a great relationship is made up of two great compromisers. You
sex
compromise all the way through the relationship. What'd you say?
The two compromises are the compromises of sex and money. Okay.
Yes.
And when then the river seems to start running dry on each one, then obviously the level of dissatisfaction in whatever area, you know, the woman might have looked towards the man to be the provider. He's not the provider, so now she has to go and get a job. Money. So she's doing things that she didn't sign up necessarily for in the first instance. And then she ain't in no spirit to have sex with no one when she comes home after a hard day's work, right? So he feels starved in the area where he was originally attracted. Okay? So be that as it may, you know, we're looking at attracting a partner. Should marriage be something that takes over our whole life, okay? Or should marriage be a part of our life? How would you phrase that? Should marriage be a part of our life, or should marriage be the entirety of our lives?
Marriage is everything to me and my wife. Marriage, and you know, I see couples, they're having vacations without each other. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you can go on a vacation without your wife. I don't know how you can go on a vacation without your husband. You know, when you get married, you don't cleave to your best friends. You don't cleave to my homies. Now it's about your wife, your husband.
Marcus, are you trying to tell me when I get married, I'll give up my homies?
Well, you ain't got to give them up, but your homies are not more significant than your wife. No, your homies are not more significant than your husband.
But my homies, you see, were a part of shaping me and molding me into the brother who
For who? For who? For your wife, for your husband.
Okay.
They shaped you and molded you for your husband, for that relationship. It's a process where we have to learn as men, as women, to let our friends, they take a back seat to this new thing that we're doing, which is husband, which is wife. And I can tell you that I have friends, but none of my friends take precedence over my relationship with my wife.
Right.
None of her friends take precedence over her relationship with me. And we keep God first, and then each other, and then everybody else falls under all that. But we have to maintain a good relationship with each other. And I can promise you that, again, when it comes to sex, I just don't want you to take it personally. I think that's what happens a lot of times in our relationships. We take it personally when a wife or a husband is not able to do what we desire to do. And certainly with the money, oh my God, woo, the money is something else, because it defines our relationship with each other. You know, but you have to ask yourself, if money was not part of the discussion, what would we talk about then? What would we talk about if it were not for money? So I can tell you that one of the things that you have to ask yourself is the money become God in the marriage? Is the money God? Or is God God and the money comes after God? He comes after. It's not before God, it's after God.
That means it's not God, it's Jesus.
Well, you call money what you
Money
want
is
to.
Jesus in the divine scheme of things, right? So let's look,
Wow.
Brother Marcus, Sister Cecilia. Time just runs, and my two sisters, my co-hosts, they're like, Hakeem, give us a chance. And I'm saying, hold on, ease up, hold on, give me 5 more minutes. So just to move forward in regards to attraction, because we're clearing up a mess here, okay? Like, where counseling is concerned, because some things occurred, and as you said, we've got to release this gridlock. We've got to try and find a way where we can unburden those concerns, right? So if I'm starting out fresh, Sister Cecilia, Brother Marcus, and I'm a gifted man, you know, or sister starting out, she's a gifted woman, you know, and she doesn't necessarily want to process her life through no man. Do you understand? She doesn't want to live according to his dreams. And the brother might not necessarily want to live his life through his wife's aspirations. How do we maintain, you know, our own personal passion for life, our own personal passion for success, our own personal passion for achieving our goals? Because the worst thing that I have experienced, where I hear people speak when their marriages break down, they become very remorseful, where they say, I gave up this for you, and I gave up that for you, and you ain't even worth all the sacrifice I made. So how do we edit that kind of expression coming up from the front end for somebody just entering in? How do we edit that out? Because it can't be a good thing for somebody to sacrifice their gifts and their talents, their aspirations on the altar of marriage just to pursue somebody else's goals.
Okay.
Well, it's not even yes, like I said, the man is the head. However, the however is you are looking to see if you are compatible, and you're looking to see how compatible you are. So me and my husband, by God's grace, are very compatible. We have a lot of the same likes. So therefore, if we have a lot of the same likes, then I'm not giving up anything. I have someone now to do stuff with. And if I don't like something, and I'll tell him, I don't want to do that. Or he'll say, baby, I don't want to do that. But then we do it anyway, and we have a good time. So the ultimate goal is to leave sex out the picture when we're meeting someone new. Don't have sex. Get to know who this person is. Can we have an intellectually stimulating conversation? Is this person a reader? What things do I love to do? This person, do they love to do it, or are we total polar opposites? Example, you like to go out. You do a lot of family outings. You do a lot of different things right now. You have hobbies. You go bicycling. You go to the movies. You go on vacation. You do a lot of stuff. Why would you even look at somebody that's a homebody that don't want to do nothing, go nowhere? I just want to go to work, come home, eat, and go to bed. See, I need to know what your daily routine is. What does that look like for you on a Saturday? What do you do during the week after you get? See, it's learning who the person is before I put too much time in. I'm valuing myself, and I'm valuing you as well and your time. So for those listening who may be single, who are looking for lifetime partners, put that in your mind. If I'm looking for a lifetime partner, whatever age I am right now, I got to look at myself. I have to study myself. Well, what are my future plans? If I'm a doctor, and I want to open up my own practice. Well, maybe my husband or wife may be a nurse. They may be in business. They can help. Again, learning who you are, then you're going to attract what you need for yourself. If we are intentional and looking for a mate, and most of us are out here playing, Brother Minister. We just out here I'm just having a good time.
Right.
That's all I want to do. I'm just having a good time. I don't want to make no commitment. And see, that's where we waste a lot of time,
Yes.
a lot of energy, because
Yes.
the minute I meet you and I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh my God, nope, that, and we teach this to my children who are, like I said, 30 to 19. I'm like, if you are, I said, put it in your minds. What is your future plans? What are your future goals? If this person does not fit your puzzle, don't waste their time. Don't waste your time. Find someone who fits your puzzle, and that's the ultimate goal, so that a lot of the frictions, the confusion and stuff, we're not gonna have that much, because I was intentional in choosing and intentional in how I use my body, my mind, and my soul.
And you have to be inquisitive when you're a husband, when you're a wife,
Single.
when you're single. Well, what is your dream? Asking questions. That's one of the things that a lot of our relationships fail at, asking questions. You have to be an inquisitive husband. You have to ask your wife, well, has your dream changed since we've been married for 20 years? What is your dream now? You have
Get
to
the hell away from you.
Well, but if you would have been questioning her all along, it's something you can start now. But this is something that, when it's a part of your marriage, questioning each other and not starting so hard like we normally. We start hard with each other. What's your dream? We ask it like that, but soft, start it softer, and then your rituals of connection. Wow, how are you connecting together? You're working every day.
But Brother Marcus,
yes?
You know that smart man or the smart woman's gonna say when someone asks, what's your dream? I don't have dreams, I have visions. Was that what you mean? That's gonna be the average response, right?
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's probably like that, but I can tell you
what I'm saying. Like, when someone's just combative like that, and you're in that combative space,
yes.
it's very difficult to get out of that space unless, yes, we bring humility into the equation. But I wanted to go back to some points that we were discussing, because
don't take it personal.
Exactly. So
don't take it personal.
Exactly. So in moving forward, because what I'm hearing, Sister Cecilia, in your answer that you just gave and what you're sharing with us, Brother Marcus, is there has to be an air and an element of ruthlessness there. Sometimes the way how we're wired in such an emotional, well, love can come, you can change, but you're sounding more military-like, where you're approaching things from a scientific perspective. If the ingredients are not there, then you can't expect me to make you your favorite meal. In order for your favorite meal to be made, the ingredients have got to be present. So how do we then mitigate, focusing on what you just said to us, making sure that the person ticks all of these boxes? How do we achieve that, knowing how emotional we are? People can get in our ears and start to twist the truth and, oh, I'm gonna get there, I got plans, and by the time you look around, because you do have a strong physical connection to the person or inclination to the person, how do you mitigate that not overriding the practical side of what you just said, the scientific side. If this person is not wired a particular way, put them to the side. But there's this strong physical attraction there. How do you mitigate that?
It's knowing your worth.
Override?
It's knowing your worth, knowing that I'm not out here trying to be willy-nilly. I'm not trying to be a doorknob. I'm not trying to be a free-for-all person, whether male or female. We are out here like we are a beast. We're out here like I don't care, whatever goes, anytime, this is what we got going on. But for those of us who are serious about what we're trying to accomplish
and intentional
and being intentional, we're trying to bring in a whole new reality. We're not trying to have the toxicity. We're trying to do as we're by ourselves, and even for us married, always consistently growing and healing. Because like I said, by God's grace, me and my husband, we were married at the age of 19. So how much growth from 19 to now, both of us are 50 years old. So how much growth and change has occurred in the relationship? And that's what we have to know. As if I'm 30 years old, I've never been married, never had any children, and I'm looking for a mate. Well, what am I looking for? What are my goals? And now when I'm talking to you, I'm wanting to hear what your goals are, what your visions are, how you feel about this, how you feel about it. But again, we're not intentional like that for a lot of us. I work around other people all day long. And everybody just want to have, I just want to have fun. I just want a good time. And I asked the question, I said, why waste time having a good time? Why not look for the person that you can have a lifetime of good times with, instead of the one person on Tuesday, another person on Thursday, right. Friday gonna be another person on Friday. No, I'm looking for that one person who has at least 70 to 80% of what I'm looking for. But again, we have to be self-healing, self-correcting. We have to heal ourselves from our trauma, because hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. So we're still functioning in hurt states of mind where I grew up and it was abuse or molestation, or I grew up and it was violence, or I grew up and everything was lovely. I didn't have too much problems growing up. Pretty much we had a good life as a family. So see, all these types of, get to know the person's family. What were their nicknames? What grandma call them? They call them little stinky butt. Well, why y'all call them little stinky butt? All these type of things, because we rush into just having a good time, and that's where we do the most damage, because now we walk into baby mama, daddy, mom, baby daddy, mom. What's that? Baby mama, baby daddy. Just the verbiage that we're using. Well, how did they become a baby daddy? Oh, we got intimate one night, and boom, she popped up pregnant. There was no commitment. There was no nothing, because I was just having a good time. And look at the after effects of our good time. Now you have a child who you give the child to mama and them and grandma and them, because you want to steal club, because I'm just out here having a good time.
Good time. Good time.
And the good timers, which are numerous, okay, and who do not necessarily have appreciation for the high ideals that you've just shared with us. I'm of the mind then we need to produce. I'm going to come straight to you, Sister Sylvina and Sister Tara. This is my last point. In regards to a model, so we're looking for models, it would seem, for the standards that you have set. Would that be a correct assessment?
Absolutely.
Just like everybody else models their culture and models their fashion. We've
never seen them, Brother Abdul. We have never seen a proper model. A child can go his whole life, her whole life, and they never saw a proper model of what a good relationship looks like. How do you handle disagreements? That is essential when children are looking at you. They're looking at you to see how are you going to handle what just happened. And I can tell you that that is what we have learned from the minister. We've learned how to handle disagreements because the children are watching and they don't miss anything. So be careful when your children are around you because they're watching you to see how you act. And they're not going to listen to nothing you say. They're going to follow what you did in that particular situation.
Exactly. So let's be mindful, make sure we're mature before we start having
Absolutely.
children, okay? Because the culture has been, as soon as we get married, children, as opposed to focusing on trying to set a strong example. Sister Sylvina, thank you, family. Sister Sylvina, Sister Tara.
Thank you for that.
You can go ahead, then I'll come in because I have 2 questions.
Okay, so with regards to counseling, I was, with regard counseling, people normally think, okay, you only go to counseling, especially in America. It's more common in America. Over here, you don't really hear of, in our community anyway, people don't really go for counseling. But what I want,
white people's thing, right?
Right, exactly. So I was just wondering, what would you advocate as the benefits of counseling? And can counseling be, of course, if you're, within a spiritual organization, and you would trust the leader of that organization and you'd be able to go to them. However, if you don't have that as an option, can counseling be sought from a trusted family member? How does it work, and what are the benefits of professional counseling rather than a family member?
Well, the professional counselor has gone to school and learned all about the discipline of counseling. I am in school myself, my dear sister. I want to learn. I thought I knew something about counseling before I went to school, but I've learned a lot of information about counseling, more than you would a regular, normal person, a friend, a family member counseling you. This experience has been very profound to me, and I've learned several disciplines that I can use to help a couple that's in crisis. We learn to deal with people who have suicide ideation. We learn how to help people with general marriage problems to the extreme marriage problems that people have. And that's why the benefit is there when you choose a professional counselor to help you and your husband or your family member work problems out. They deal with mother and daughter, mother and son, father, daughter issues. That is family counseling is all in our purview. All in what we do is right what you said. And so I would definitely recommend that you choose some counseling just for life itself, just for what you've been through. If you're 30 or 40 or 50 years old or 60, and you've never been counseled in your life, we've instituted a lot of counseling in the marriage retreat that we do, because we have to know that a lot of people are not going to get it unless you promote it in a very special way to them. And that is all embedded in our work with couples, with single folks, is the counseling aspect, because a lot of us need counsel and we need care. We need someone to show respect for our emotions. We need to have somebody to influence us in a positive direction versus what people tend to do. Leroy and Nick out there, they may influence you, but it may not be in a positive direction. It may not be in the direction that you want to go. Go to a counselor who has your best interest in mind.
Tell
Our
me this,
motto.
Tell me this, Brother Marcus, Sister Cecilia.
sir.
You know, is there not a very negative connotation to that word counseling? Does it not suggest to the wider community, oh, you know, Sylvina is in counseling? That suggests almost that she doesn't have it together. You know, that Hakeem has gone to counseling. It sounds as if he's falling apart. And isn't that the stigma that really stop people from seeking this kind of help, you know, when they may need it most? But it's the lack of desire to be stigmatized that keeps.
Yes, because a lot of us grew up with that stigma but we got to get rid of that stigma. Because as we look at generational, and you look at your family and how you know this one has trauma, you know, and we keep it and we hold it and we pass it on child after child. We now have to get used to, let me go to someone who can help me process where I am and reach it, go there, help me to go there, but then help me to overcome what that causes. Because trauma, by God's grace, with my husband being in school for marriage and family therapy, by Allah's grace, we've always had that spiritual component, the pastoral component, but now you can put it all together where you have the different theories and practices and put it all together now to help the whole person. And that's what it's all about, helping people to heal so that you have healthy and happy relationships. If we have issues with men, if we have issues with women, well, I need someone to tell me, well, okay, Cecilia, you have that issue. Now, here are some steps you can take to overcome it. See, we are the overcomers, but you can't overcome when we keep it all bottled up and it's rotating in my toxic mind and it just builds its own jungle in the toxicity of my mind. But I need someone to help me to bring it out, process it, look at it. What can I take from this? What can I learn from this? And help me to grow. For me, counseling has been, whether it was in our relationship, whether it was me personally getting counseling, it has done so much of helping me to heal, of helping me to be a better me. Because just guess what? If you got a big old bag of garbage in the middle of your living room floor and you just leave that garbage in the middle of the living room floor and you never take out that garbage, how stink and poisonous will that garbage become? Think of your traumas like that. If I keep it in, it's just going to make me worse and worse and worse. And before you know it, like you go back to what you said, Brother Minister, we're arguing, we're fighting, we're bickering. And a lot of times, guess what? Everyone here, you know, you've gotten into an argument about something. And after the argument, you ask yourself this question.
Why?
Now, why did I go off like that? That was something simple. The why is it was connected to, you were stimulated by something in your past, and all of it came out onto your husband. All of it came out onto your whoever you're talking to. So we have to remove it because we're walking around with mental illness. Everybody crazy. I don't care what you say. All of us are crazy. And the person that tells you I'm not crazy, that's the craziest one in the room. Okay? The craziest one. So we got to admit, I have issues I need to work on.
That's it. That's it, brother. That's it, sister.
Run for your life, right?
Yeah.
I can smell that garbage. Anybody, can you smell the garbage?
Smell the garbage.
I want to jump in right here. I was just telling Sister Savina that last night that everybody's a little crazy.
Everybody.
You were being modest, that.
And when you picking a mate or looking for somebody, you have to ask yourself, how much crazy can I take? Because some of us, like some brothers, they like, all I get is these toxic sisters. Why? Because maybe you have a save mentality. I'm gonna say, and for us as women, some of us, a lot of us, I'm gonna save them. I'm gonna help them to change. If you're going into a relationship talking about changing somebody, you can't change yourself. How in the world you gonna think you're gonna change somebody else? It's, can I accept all of you, your good and your bad? Can I take that much crazy? No, I can't. Like for me, I have a limit to how much crazy I'm gonna deal with. And if I see in general, if I meet somebody and I'm like, whoa, that's too much right there for me, I'll greet you, I'll be cordial, but you're not somebody that's gonna be in my immediate environment, because I know you are a bit more extreme than I can take. So be honest with yourself all the time. It comes down to being honest with ourselves. Like the minister said, he said to us, he said, you lie to yourself every day. You take off your clothes and you look at yourself in the mirror and talk about, ooh, I look fine. He said, how do you look fine with all the flubber and the jelly and all that stuff just hanging out everywhere? But we lying to ourselves. Ooh, girl, you look so, ooh, boy, you look so good. Stop lying to ourselves. Be honest with what we need help and development in, and go to work to solve it so that you become a whole, complete you. And when we do this, we attract different mates to us.
Right. And the consequence of not doing that, right, is as Natalie Cole experienced. She ended up on drugs because of her, thought of changing a male. And then the male ended up changing her into something that she could not recognize. So there are so many people on drugs and on all sorts of crazy things. And it would seem that it's very connected and linked to them taking on too much pain of somebody else, that they need an artificial, synthetic substance to try to bring down the effects of that which they cannot handle. So if you
marry somebody that has those kind of issues, they can shorten your life too.
Right.
They can shorten your life from what a person who has a productive mentality can give you in your life. People who don't deal with that kind of stress in their life, they live 5 to 7 years longer than people who have to deal with that chronic stress every single day, brother. That's something to think about. Be careful who you marry.
Yeah.
Be careful of the stress that they carry in their life, because it affects you. It affects us, and we got to be very careful.
Right. And also, don't just think it's just marriage. Those of you, boyfriend, same.
Ooh.
Girlfriend, same. Okay? So don't just think it's just the married couples dealing with this. You dealing with it without even making that commitment. So all that to say, back to yourself, Sister Tara, or back to you, Sister Sylvina. You had a second question.
Wait, I didn't ask my question yet.
Of course you didn't. Now we're going to start fighting and starting another.
I have a question.
The co-host,
the co-host, we about to battle it out. Listen, so this is my question. You say that you have been in the process of becoming married for the past now 31 years. What do you mean by that?
Minister Farrakhan taught us that don't say that you're married, past participle. Say that you're in the process of being married. And I love that when I heard that, because a lot of time my parents, when they ended their relationship, they were married for 23 years. It didn't go no further than 23 years. Of course, he passed away. But I can tell you, you have to, when you're in the process of something, that means I'm still learning her. I'm still growing. I'm not through with my learning and growing. I'll never be through with it. there's always something new to learn and something new coming out of Cecilia, out of me. And if you're married, then you're not interested. You're not curious. I keep saying that word, curious. I'm curious about this. I'm curious about that. A lot of us aren't curious about anything in our marriage. I ask people, well, do you have any books on marriage? Do you have any books on being a good father, a good mother? A lot of us haven't read one book on being a good husband, a good wife, a good father, a good mother. We act as if we got it because we became an adult one magical day. I'm sorry, you did not get it all. You did not learn it all. There's still more for you to learn. And I just encourage you, everywhere you go is school. You have to learn. You have to put on your thinking cap. That's what they taught us in school. Put on your thinking cap. When you're in a marriage, you're going to have to put on your thinking cap. When you're in court, you're going to have to put on your thinking cap. You're going to have to think through what he's saying, what she's saying. And men have a lot to learn in the arena of marriage and male-female relationships. It's a lot that we gotta learn. No one taught us anything about relationships, and that is a great problem that we have because we want success, but we ain't been taught nothing. And you can't have a relationship with somebody and expect success if you ain't never been taught nothing. Right. See, and that's what this world doesn't do for us. It doesn't teach us about successful relationships.
So tell me, Brother Marcus, Sister Cecilia, when would you suggest is the right time for someone to seek counseling? What's the right time? Because sometimes, one partner may say, we should, and the other one would say, well, you can, okay?
But I'm not.
So when is the right time? And if one party or partner or member of the marriage is of the mind that we need this, and the other one is of the mind, then go get it, then should that person still continue to pursue counseling by themselves, or should they wait until, the situation totally breaks down and then, try and pick up pieces? What do you do in that situation?
Absolutely. If that person, we get it all the time where the wife most of the time wants counseling and the husband says, well, I don't want counseling. He put on his pants the same way I put on my pants. And to me, that is not good because, again, if you have hit a wall, then I need someone to help me to get over that wall. And most of the time, the men don't want that help. And the women I just spoke to some sisters a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, matter of fact, and they both asked for counseling, wanted counseling. The husband said no, and now they're ending in divorce. We have to exhaust all avenues. If I really love you, care for you, first of all, if he doesn't want it, she doesn't want it, go get it for yourself. Because the more you fortify yourself, I can take plenty now because I'm relieving myself of my issues so I can take more now. But when I am overflowing with emotions and traumas, then my patience, I'm intolerable, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, we're gonna argue more. But if I'm at peace, and I'm learning me and how to take the power from you, because most of us in relationships, we know how to press the button to set the person off. We know if I say this, oh, we gonna go at it. All I gotta do is say, but no. I'm taking the power from you because I'm gonna sit there and let you talk, scream, holler, and I'm just gonna be as calm as a cucumber. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do a little prayer, a little meditation in my head as you going off. because again, learning the power that I have, you can argue, you ain't gonna argue too long by yourself, especially if someone is sitting there being quiet. But if we're both going tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat, then now we done exploded. But yes, sir, we must get individual and we must get couple. And if that person, and I hate to say it, but to me, that's the #1 reason why people end up in the divorce court, because someone refuses to grow to the next level of the relationship. That's why my husband said what he said, which is always talking and discussing where you at, what's the goals, what's the dreams, what always discussing that, because we change. Last week I was like this, but next week I'm like this. That's you right. Always in constant communication on everything.
And you also, you have to let your partner influence you. Your wife is not there as a Muppet. She has a mind, she can think, she has intelligence, she can influence you if you would let her. But if you have the mentality as a man, shut up. It's my way is the right way. Is your way the only way, brother? See, you have to let her influence you. She has a way, a style of doing things that's not your way. Why don't you sit back for a minute and watch her do what she's doing and learn from her? And the same is true on the opposite end, sister. That husband that you have, he may not do things the way you want him to do. But is it effective? Is it successful? That's what you have to learn. That's what you have to ascertain about him. A lot of this that we're going through, this gridlock, is so powerful that we don't love each other the way we're supposed to love each other. After 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years, we still haven't learned to love each other. Why? What's going on in the relationship? That's what we ask couples when we counsel. What's happening here in this relationship? A lot of us don't want to expose our business to nobody. And that's the problem. If you keep it all to yourself and you don't have enough knowledge to solve your business. I have a lot of people across this country in America who need counseling so bad, but they don't want it because I don't want to expose my business to nobody. And that's so unfortunate, brother. That's so unfortunate, sister, that you don't want to expose your little relationship to nobody. But suppose we could help. Suppose we could help. So, see, what we're going to do is we have compassionate counseling. I understand where you are, my brother, my sister. I understand where you are. See, we didn't come out of heaven. We didn't drop out of heaven down here. No, we didn't. We came up the hard way. And I can tell you some stories that would make you blush. Like, oh my God, Brother Marcus, you were doing that? Yeah, I was. I understand how to have a successful relationship now. I understand, and I'm determined to help Minister Farrakhan, the pastors, the preachers, the imams, all of them out here who are trying to help you. I'm trying to help them as well. So that's how I would answer that, brother.
Fantastic. So tell me this then. If there's a young man who's in a relationship and he's having some issues, should he go and find himself a close girlfriend that he has, who he may have gone to school with? Who should he seek advice from? Another male or from a sister who understands him? What would you advise to me in regards to counsel and finding a confidant? Should it be male or should it be female? If
well, I certainly think that men sharpen men like steel sharpen steel. Women are like steel too. Women sharpen women like steel sharpen steel. We should exhaust finding many brothers as we can. Brothers have helped me tremendously in my life as a man to know what it really means, to know where I'm going off at. See, if you ain't got a good friend, if he can't tell you where you're going off at,
Right. So maybe
or your friend should not be in agreement with you on every point that you make.
so when a brother then says that, so when a brother then says that this,
yes,
I have a sister, you know, she understands me. She ain't like, she understands me. Is that because she just don't know how crazy you are?
yeah, probably, probably. I mean, you know, with sisters, I would offer this. I talk with sisters a lot of times, and I do understand a little bit more because I'm part of the teaching that Minister Farrakhan gives us about women, understanding women a little bit better than most men do. So I counsel sisters as much as I can. And I find that a lot of times a good man, if she had a good man in her life, he could do the same thing that I'm doing for her. He could do the same thing that I'm doing for her. But I tell you, in relationship, it's all about skill building. That's what Cecilia said, that we try to provide advanced relationship skills. If you've been married for a long time, do you need more skills to help you to navigate the next 10, the next 20 years of your life? Do you need more skill? That is what the issue is, brother.
So I'm gonna defer back to my co-host, but after this one last point. And so it seems as if that ultimate goal has to always be out front and inspirational to both, because it seems as if we become each other's project, then that can only go so far. But if there is a bigger goal and the goal setting, once the goal's setting, it seems that once the goal setting stops, that's inspirational to both, then is that literally, would you say, is the beginning of the end? Is that the slippery slope when there's no real inspirational goals out front, very clear and definitive?
I would say yes.
Absolutely.
You can't do this unless you have some kind of goal. What is a marriage without goals? You have a marriage for 5 years and you don't have a goal that you both are working on. Is the goal known by everyone in the house? Is it written down somewhere where we can see the goal? When you have a family and you have a marriage and you have no goals, then you have a mob. You study mobbing every day when you don't have nothing that you're working toward. There ought to be a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15, 20-year plan that everyone knows the goals of the family. You can't just have it in your head and no one else knows it. Cecilia?
And that is one of the things, again, because just like we go to work, we have business meetings, we talk about this, that's one of the things we have at our marriage retreat and single events, where you have to rate yourself. You have to give a grade to your father. For the singles, you're looking at yourself. For the married couples, you're grading your wife, you're grading your husband. And no, this is not time for argument, but we're taking a step back to look at, well, how am I doing spiritually? How am I doing intellectually? How am I doing socially? Do we go out on dates? Do we have fun? Again, we take time for so many things,
yes,
and we have to take that time for our marriages, our relationships. When I tell people, I said, when you hear the word intimacy, some people may think of sex immediately. I say, no, I want you to look at it this way. Intimacy. Intimacy, learn about me. Learn me to the point where I don't even have to ask, you already have it ready. I remember one day my husband came to me and he said, baby, I need such and such, he was telling me all this stuff he needed. And I was like, done. It was already done a week ago. And he was like, oh, okay. Because anticipating the need to learn about each other to the point where you don't have to tell me, I already know what you need. So I'm going to give you what you need before you even have to tell me. Intimacy, know that I like, I tell, this is a good example. And I like to give this for wives, especially where men think on their mind is, I'll get to the point, their mind is, okay, what do I need to do? So if you know that's the nature of the functioning of every man is, you have to let him know, well, baby, I just want to vent, or baby, this and that, let him know. Because again, I say, like, say for example, it's football season. And Sunday at this time, your husband has already prepared all week to sit down in his favorite chair and watch the sport game, right? So why are you going to get upset if you decide now to put on some sexy outfit and parade in front of him thinking he's going to stop from watching his football game? He had already had a focused plan. He was going to play football. Now, us as women, we will make a goal and say, okay, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. But because we such naturally multitaskers, okay, I was going to do this, but I'm going to change up and I'm going to do that. We are swift and changeable like that. Brother, that's our nature. It's not that we confused or bubble-headed. That's just how we are. We're multitaskers, so we always moving. But the point is, when you understand the nature now, then it's like, okay, sister, stop getting mad. If your husband said, well, I'm doing this, that's what he gonna do.
Right, and don't sit in his chair. You know, if that's his football chair, stay out.
And while you saying that, Brother Abdul Hakeem, let me tell you this also. He should not just have a favorite chair that he sits in, but when you're in a marriage with that man, your husband, you should put some respect on his name.
Right.
You should have a special husband's only plate that he eats off of. He should have a special husband's only fork, spoon that he eats off of. This is his. Don't you touch that. That's my husband's. See, you gotta put respect on.
You're teaching, Marcus.
I'm telling you what I've learned. Now, no way. You about to have dinner. No one should touch dinner until daddy sits in the place of dinner, and then daddy says prayer. And then when he says grace, then we all can eat, but not before. And you have to teach that as a rule to your children so they will have respect for the institution of father. And father and mother sit at opposite ends of the table and they conduct the affairs of their children. See, when we're talking about building family, you got to teach people how to build a family. You got to teach them what they need to know. You are the husband. Do you need to know anything to guide your children, your family? Don't you think they want to hear intelligence coming out of your mouth as a father? They don't want to hear sports. They can watch that for themselves. Teach them what they can't get from watching the video or the TV. Teach them some different things, but you can't teach them if you don't have it in your head as well. I'm telling you what I know. I spent 20 years. My wife allowed me the privilege of being a man. She allowed me to go to work for her. And I went to work for her. And I would come in to the home on Thursday evening, Friday evening, of traveling all week long. I wasn't able to get back home. And when I would come in the house, she would call the children to see me come into the house. 7 little children, well, 6 children, I'm sorry, I'm at one, I'm sorry, but 6 little children would meet me at the door, and she would say, "Original salute," and I would watch 7 little hands go up to the head, 6 little hands go up to the head like this. And she would say, "Ready, front," and all of them would drop their head, and then they would bum rush me with hugs. And I'm telling you, that experience moved me. It moved me because I know that I couldn't put that kind of love in them. She put that kind of love in them for me. Sure. See, when you have a good woman, I don't understand why you as a man, you are so against the female that's producing your children. It's a great mistake that you're making, brother, because she can teach them to love you. And no one can teach like she can on that love thing.
And the opposite is then also true. She could teach them to hate the hell out of you.
Absolutely. It's all one emotion, just opposite extremes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm overjoyed, you know, and I hope that all in our audience is also overjoyed with what you're hearing, because this is counseling, you know, even though we're in a group setting, but this is one-on-one, and I'm sure that everything that you're hearing, those of you in the audience, that is resonating with you. Wow, you know, brothers, you ready for your special fork, your special plate, special? And it used to be that way.
It used to be that way. It used to be.
My dad had his special stuff.
That's right. And so don't touch it.
It's not out of the question. You know,
that's right.
Have some special stuff.
That's right.
You can't be eating at the same plate as the 4-year-olds, brother.
That's right. And there's a difference. There's a great difference between children and him. See, when you're talking to him, you're not talking to a child. See, a lot of you sisters get that twisted. You talk to him just like you talk to the child. And that's what causes the disrespect in the household. Always maintain, as a woman, a level of respect and discipline for yourself. You don't want him to call you out your name. Don't you call him out his name as well. Be careful how we speak to each other in the home. That makes a difference in how the children respond to him, because they're watching you as the mother. If you tearing him down, don't think that they don't think you're giving them permission to tear him down too. So be very mindful of that. Always honor and respect for him as the father.
Fantastic. Sister Tara?
Thank you so much. I don't have any more questions because I think we're almost out of time, but I'm so excited. I just love the advice and the gems that you've given out today. I did want to know, you mentioned one book that we were able to put in the chat, The Fascinating Womanhood. What was the book you had for the men? We want to put that in the chat as well so that the brothers will have something to read.
Men of Steel and Velvet by her husband, Andelin. Helen Andelin. So their last name is Andelin, or just put in Men of Steel and Velvet. And then also the book I mentioned about how to lead your wife and children in these troubled times. You can go to our website, which is www.themarriagekeepers.com. We have over 15 books on male-female relationships, whether you're single, whether you're just starting out, and all of our books have life tips. Over 200, each book has 200 tips that you can start to practice every day to help you to start to have a healthier you, and also to prepare yourself for your future in that sense. But that's one of our books as well.
Okay, and I think you all have a marriage retreat coming up
next
month, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to talk about that? I think we do have some people on the line from the US. So can you tell us a little bit about that so that we could get some people in the room for you?
Well, we have this marriage retreat. This is the 13th year that Allah has blessed us to have this retreat. And it's coming to you this year live from Phoenix, Arizona. So say it.
And it will be August. We're asking people to come in on that Wednesday, August the 23rd, and then all the festivities start on that Thursday at 9 a.m., August the 24th. And you can, until that Monday, which is the 28th, some people may leave Sunday, but most people stay until Monday morning or however your plans are. And again, we're learning, and it's nothing like being in a room full of couples from 2 weeks of newly married to people who are 50 years plus in marriage, being in that environment where we're purposeful in learning. I remember one brother, he said, I was here from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He said, I didn't ask any questions. He said, all I did was listen. And at the end of Sunday, because we asked everybody for testimonials, he said, I have been so enriched with solutions to issues I personally had. And I thank God, Allah, that I came and attended. And for the most part, we have couples who come every year because they use the marriage retreat as a reset for their relationship, because they say they take everyone receives a 50-page booklet. And they take their booklet and they say, I use these skills throughout the year until the next retreat. And these couples are having an awesome, empowered relationship, because again, the more we heal and do the work, yes, you have a healthier, more powerful relationship. And that's what it's all about. We don't want to repeat generational curses. We want to heal them and grow and become even better.
We have a husbands only session that is out of this world. I don't know if you've ever been to a husbands only session by the minister, but it is spectacular to witness husbands talking about how they can advance their relationship. And we have a wives only session, and it's just like the MGT class, the FOI class. No wives are in the husbands only session, no husbands are in the wives only session. And it's so powerful when we get together. And I just want to tell you, this year, we're going to talk exclusively about trauma. Trauma in your relationship is going to be spectacular to listen and to hear. And then we have disaster preparedness this year as well. We're adding that component to it. And we also have financial advice. Oh my God. Oh, so finances is so powerful. We have Brother Daoud Muhammad. He is going to talk about credit in an amazing way. And then we also have,
and that's the power of the retreat.
That's right.
Of him, there are so many couples who they heard him, they followed up with him, they bought homes for their families, they were able to get business credit. Again, it's all about empowering us to move from A to B to C to D. And then we have Sister Melissa Muhammad,
yes,
who goes over finances as well. She's an international tax attorney. So just imagine a plethora of information. And last year I told her, I said, sister, I thought you could not do yourself no more, but she did it last year. And I said, okay, I'm looking forward to what you're going to do this year. And again, it just grows and grows, because the object is to help, because like most people say, y'all been married for 30 years. How did you do it? We're helping you with the hows. Our bumps and knocks is your prize, because we're saying, look, I'm gonna tell you to go right. If you go right, or y'all work it out how y'all gonna go right, then you're gonna do it successfully, because I'm trying to help you avoid that jungle right there, because it got beasts and animals there. But I want to put you on a clear path to success by learning from, like they say, learn vicariously through other people's trials. Now, some of us just got to hurt ourselves.
We got to hurt ourselves.
And that's a given. But those of us who are wise, let me get to, and we have a new book on our website called successful couples do what successful couples don't do. That's another book. Again, learning how to be successful so that we don't make the same mistakes. And that's why we love our nation. Because to be married at 19, yes, both of us came from a 2-family home. He had a mom and dad. I had a mom and dad. We saw toxicity. We saw positivity, but we made a decision that we wanted to be better. And by listening and putting into practice what we are taught by in the Nation of Islam, that's why we can sit here today and be excited, be loving, be caring, because we know the power of doing something different every day to bring joy, peace, and happiness in your life. And brother minister, when you strive for that purposely, then the stresses and trials that come, it's like a little hit, but we're doing it together happily.
Well, it's been a delight, Sister Celia and Brother Marcus, and we have enjoyed you tremendously, and we are so
thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's our honor to be with our brothers and sisters all the way across the waters.
That's right.
So we are indebted, and we are grateful and appreciative for your counsel and for your expertise, and for also sharing with us how we can stay in touch with you and benefit from the work, not just the work that you've done, but the work you are doing and to do also in the future. So spiritual injection, those of you on the call, please take your devices off of mute and show our special guest, Sister Cecilia and Brother Marcus.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you
so much.
Love you as well.
Thank you so much, family. Thank you so much. May Allah bless you.
Yeah,
Great example. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, family. Thank you so much.